In the quiet village of Odemy, nestled between lush hills and sacred rivers, lived a girl named Sandra. She was neither the eldest nor the most outspoken, but her eyes burned with quiet curiosity. Orphaned at a young age, she was raised by her grandmother, Mama Ifoma, who often told tales of ancient spirits and powerful herbs. It was under Mama Ifoma's care that Sandra developed a fascination with healing, watching her grandmother cure fevers, mend bones, and soothe troubled minds with nothing more than leaves, chants, and whispers to the wind. But Sandra wanted more than village wisdom. She yearned for greatness. She wanted to heal not just Odemy, but the world. The small clay hut she shared with Mama Ifoma felt too narrow for her dreams. So, one night under a blood moon, Sandra crept into the forbidden forest. Legends warned that spirits there offered shortcuts, powers too strong and too fast to be earned naturally. Yet Sandra, with a heart heavy with ambition, thought herself different. She ventured deep into the forest's heart, where shadows danced without source, and time stood still. There, she met something that was not quite spirit, not quite human. It had many faces, and none stayed the same for long. It offered her healing beyond imagination, diseases cured with a whisper, death held at bay by a touch. The price? A drop of her blood, and the promise that she'd always speak the truth about her gift. She agreed without question. That night, the forest hummed with dark satisfaction. Sandra returned to Odemy with fire in her veins, ready to become the legend she'd always dreamed of, but at what cost? After the mysterious encounter in the forest, Sandra left Odemy and moved to the city of Lekki, a gleaming metropolis of glass towers, flyovers, and flashing lights. Her first days were tough. She rented a tiny flat above a tailoring shop and took up small jobs at a herbal pharmacy. But whenever people came in with stubborn ailments, her touch worked miracles. Coughs stopped mid-hack, swellings vanished, and chronic pains eased after seconds. Rumors began to swirl. There was a girl in Lekki with healing hands. Sandra started recording her healing moments and posting them online. The videos went viral, first in her neighborhood, then across the city. People called her the Miracle Touch. Her follower count grew, and soon she was trending nationally. She wore white robes, gave motivational talks on inner energy and peace, and accepted expensive gifts from grateful clients. Yet, behind the calm smile and graceful bows, Sandra felt a strange heaviness in her chest. Whispers in her ears at night, shadows lurking in corners, and dreams of a forest that always called her back. In less than a year, Sandra transformed from a nobody to a sensation. She was invited to elite talk shows, spiritual panels, and high-end wellness conferences. City dwellers who once laughed at traditional healers now paid thousands to book sessions with her. Her name appeared on billboards and healing retreats. The media dubbed her the modern priestess. But with fame came pressure. She began staging miracles when her real powers faltered, paying actors to faint and recover, exaggerating illnesses and recoveries. The power from the forest had begun to fluctuate. Some days it surged through her like a storm, other days it was weak and distant. To maintain the illusion, she leaned into performance. Her white robes became designer labels, and her simple chants were now backgrounded by soft piano music and incense. The real Sandra began to fade into the character she had created. Strange things started happening in her penthouse. Mirrors would crack without impact. She saw her reflection move when she stood still. She'd wake up with claw-like scratches on her back and smell earth and rot in her marble bathroom. One evening, during a live session with a client, Sandra's eyes turned pitch black. The client screamed and ran out, but Sandra smiled and told the camera it was a spiritual shift. Her assistant, Kemi, grew concerned. Sandra, something's off. Maybe you need to rest, or detox. But Sandra dismissed her. Deep down, she knew it wasn't stress or overwork. The forest spirit had begun to collect its dues. She had broken the one promise she made, to always tell the truth about her power. And with every lie, the bond tightened. Yet, she couldn't stop. She had become too big to confess. Too many people worshipped her. During a late-night podcast interview, the host, known for his blunt approach, asked, "Where did you really get your gift, Sandra? Science? Spirits? Ancestral rites?" For a second, her mouth opened but no sound came out. Then, he whispered, "I took it from a place I shouldn't have." The studio went silent. The confession trended overnight. Some fans claimed it was a poetic metaphor. Others thought it was part of a marketing stunt. But a few spiritual elders who watched the clip said they saw her eyes shift, and her skin flicker like a shadow. They recognized the markings. One old priest from Enugu declared, "He touched the forbidden grove." She must return what she took. After the confession, Sandra's body began to deteriorate. Her skin itched like fire, and no cream soothed it. Her hair thinned, her pupils sometimes turned gray, and her heartbeat often skipped like a broken drum. Yet, her social media team edited her videos to look flawless. "You're a brand," her manager reminded her. "You can't afford to be sick." But at night, the dreams grew darker. The forest reappeared, only now, it was dying. The leaves were ash, the spirits angry. "Liar," they whispered. "Thief." Every morning, she woke up with bruises. The spirit had begun to take pieces of her. It was no longer satisfied with silence. One of her clients, a young tech CEO, collapsed days after a session. His family sued Sandra, accusing her of selling fake hope. When she visited him at the hospital, the machines around him sparked. The nurses stared in fear. "You need to leave," one whispered. Before she left, a young intern approached her. "You're cursed," she said softly. "Not gifted. I've seen this before, in old journals from the grovekeepers of Ondo. Power taken wrongly always decays its vessel." Sandra asked, "Can it be undone?" The girl nodded, but only through reparation and truth, full truth. Sandra cancelled all her sessions and went off-grid. Her fans speculated she was preparing a new healing method. But she sat alone in her penthouse, surrounded by herbs that no longer responded and candles that burned with black flame. Kemi tried to stay, but Sandra sent her away. "You didn't sign up for this." She stopped posting, stopped dressing up. Her robes became wrinkled, her face gaunt. Every night, the forest called. It was time to return, and she knew it. She packed a bag. No camera, no assistant, no press. Just a few dried leaves from Mama Ifoma's box and the courage to face what she'd buried. Back in Otami, the forest had changed. Trees leaned inward like judges, and the path was overgrown. The villagers avoided Sandra, whispering that she brought heavy spirits. At her grandmother's grave, Sandra cried, "Mama, I failed. I thought I could carry what wasn't mine." A cold wind blew, and a single white butterfly landed on her shoulder. At the edge of the forbidden forest, she placed her hands on the earth and asked, "Can I make it right?" The ground pulsed beneath her. The spirit appeared again, its faces flickering in and out. "You owe truth," it said. "To yourself. To them." Sandra was taken to the spirit court, a place between worlds. Her spirit stood naked, judged by voices from the deep. They showed her every lie, every staged miracle, every soul who trusted her falsely. "You took light and turned it into shadow," one spirit said. "But I helped people," Sandra cried. "Yes," another replied, "but at what cost? You didn't just deceive them. You rewrote the laws of balance. They gave her two choices: return to the city powerless and reveal the truth, or keep her gifts and decay until her soul was nothing but ash. Sandra returned to Lecky and held a press conference. No robes, no entourage, just her voice. She told the truth about the forest, the spirit, the lies, the faked healings, and the pain. Many were outraged. Some cried. Sponsors withdrew. Fans unfollowed. She became the face of scandal overnight. Her penthouse was repossessed. Her name became a cautionary tale in wellness spaces. People called her the fallen healer, the liar of Lecky. But something inside Sandra felt lighter. For the first time in years, the whispers stopped. Sandra began visiting those she had wronged. She apologized to the tech CEO's family, paid back donations, and wrote letters to victims. Some forgave her, others did not. But each apology was a stitch in the torn fabric of her soul. She visited old herbalists, real ones, and studied again, this time with humility. She walked, not as a healer, but as a student. She began sharing what she had learned, not as gospel, but as reflection. Months passed. Sandra moved into a quiet home near the coast. She started a small community center where real herbalists taught, where healing was honest and imperfect. People came not for miracles, but for comfort. Sandra still had echoes of power, but she used them carefully, sparingly. She no longer wore white robes. She wore jeans and slippers, and her smile was real. The forest still lived in her, but now it hummed gently, not angrily. She had learned to listen. Sandra wrote a book, Borrowed Fire, detailing her journey, her mistakes, her rise and fall. It wasn't a bestseller, but it reached the right hearts. Some called her brave, others still called her a fraud. But Sandra no longer needed the world's approval. One evening, she sat by the sea, watching children play. An old woman approached her and said, "My daughter used to watch your videos. When she died, I blamed you. But I read your book. And I see now, you were also lost. I forgive you." Years later, people still remembered Sandra, but not as the miracle worker. They remembered her as the woman who told the truth when it was hardest. Her name became synonymous not with perfection, but with reparation. One day, as she watered a herb garden behind the center, a butterfly landed on her hand, the same white butterfly from the forest. Sandra smiled. The spirit had not left. It had simply been waiting, for honesty, for growth, for peace. And now, finally, Sandra had all three. Subscribe now and join the Firelight Tale family. Turn on notifications, because each story is an ember waiting to spark your imagination.